Hello and welcome to my business advice and money saving tips channel. This one is all about how you can make money on Kindle publishing using public domain books. But first of all, a quick joke, as always, from one of my favourite comedians, Frankie Boyle. So I'm quite old now. My body is like a dropped lasagna. Women look at my naked body in the same fearful way that pensioners look at snow. So I just want to be really open from the start, guys. I've been on Kindle publishing for around a month now. I've been experimenting with 10 popular titles which are in the public domain. So I've discovered some things, have some knowledge to pass on. I'm not an expert on this topic at all, but I do think that I found some very useful tips and I have some pretty good advice which will point you in the right direction whether or not you actually want to get into Kindle publishing using public domain books. Now, with that out of the way, just to explain first of all what a public domain book is. So a book which is in the public domain, or a piece of work which is in the public domain, is where the work itself is copyright free. Now, if we're talking about books, then it means that the author has died in 1924 or earlier. So anything basically written in 1924 or earlier means it's in the public domain. So there are some very popular titles which are in the public domain because there are lots of classic works of literature written in the early part of the 20th century and the late 19th century as well. Now, the best place where you could go to find public domain books is a website called Gutenberg.org. I'll put the link right there. And as you'll see, there's lots of different categories of books that you could play about with. You can look at the most popular titles, and there are many other sources of public domain books as well. If you just put it in Google, I'm sure you'll get many sites coming up. There's also government websites you can go to where they freely give works and documents and reports, all of which are in the public domain, although I'm not quite sure if anyone is actually going to pay money for them on Kindle publishing. So here's what I did step by step. Step one was to actually find the titles that I wanted to play about with on Kindle publishing. So I went to Gutenberg.org and I chose 10 of the most popular titles I could find. That was my first step. The next step was then to put those into Kindle publishing. So I actually had something that I could import into Kindle itself. So if you go onto the Kindle publishing website, there's some software you can download, and that will give you step-by-step advice and really kind of break down how to convert your file or your book file into something that can be read and uploaded to Kindle. Now, what I found very quickly from doing this is Amazon have some rules set up whereby it will restrict you from just doing a blatant straight copy and an upload of a book, because many people have done this before. I'm sure there are hundreds of thousands of copies of Sherlock Holmes on Kindle. There's thousands of copies of Alice in Wonderland on Kindle. So Amazon a few years back, they basically said, right, this is stupid, we're getting inundated with all these popular classic books, they're all the same, we need to make sure that we set some rules, some ground rules in place to make sure that any of these books which are uploaded from now on are different from the others. So there's a few ways in which you can make sure that your copy is slightly different to the others. The two most popular ways that I found, the two ways that I stuck to, were illustrations and study guides. So the first one, illustrations, that basically means that you go online and you look for images that you can put in the book. So let's just take a popular title like let's take Moby Dick, for example. So if we put Moby Dick illustrations into Google and we scroll down, we finally come across a site like this one where they have lots of different images of the book Moby Dick. So what you would do is basically take those images and put those into your book at the right time and the right place. Now, the second way is to find and add a study guide at the end of the book. What's a study guide? Well, it's a guide that a school, college, or university has basically created about the book to help students study different aspects of the book. So all you need to do is to do a quick Google, add one of these study guides at the end, and then hopefully Kindle and Amazon should then approve your book if it has previously been disapproved. Now, you're then on to the exciting stage when your book is finally out there and you can start getting sales. Now, as you have probably found out by this stage, that the commissions that Amazon make available for public domain books are a lot less than if you actually own the rights to the book yourself. And I think you only get about 30%, which is a bit of a bummer, to be honest. With Amazon keeping such a hefty cut of those profits. But what I found quite interesting, as soon as all my books went live, is that I did still get sales. I got money coming in, profit. And I got, not a lot, to be honest. I'll share with you the graph. I think in total, I got about £15 across 10 books. And this is without any kind of promotion or advertising being put on those books whatsoever. So it's quite clear to me that when you put a book on Amazon, whether it's a public domain book, and probably also if you own the rights to a book that you've written, that Amazon are going to give that book a little bit of a boost just to see what happens and just to see how it performs. Now, I'm now in a stage where I am using advertising to promote the books, to really see if I can maximize my profits and my margins. Now, one thing that I've come across quite quickly is because a lot of the books I have currently on the Kindle store are Kindle versions of the book, I've set them at a price point of 99p, which means that if anyone was to purchase those books, I'd get about 33p, which means that I can only advertise I can advertise probably for around 8p per click, maybe, and then I'll maybe get a tiny little bit of money. So what I've actually done is I've broken down several different campaigns, and I have a individual campaign for every version of the book that I have. So for every book there is a paperback version and a Kindle version. With paperback versions, you can earn a bit more. On the first day that I started advertising, I spent 32p. Wow. But in sales, I actually made, it was about £14 that was made. So from that, I probably got about £4.50. And that was just from the first day of promotion using the Amazon advertising tool. So look, guys, this is pretty much where I've gotten to in my journey with Kindle publishing, with public domain books. Like I say, I am kind of in this stage now where I'm experimenting. I'm just seeing how far it can go. I'm not 100% sure if there is mileage in public domain books at this stage. It has taken up quite a lot of my time, and I'm not really sure if I've seen the return for the time that I've invested it in yet. But I'm not quite ready to chuck the towel in right now. I have heard stories of people earning hundreds and even thousands from public domain books. So I'm going to keep going and see what happens. There will be a part 2 of this video a few weeks down the line once I have gone further with this process. At that stage as well, I'll share all of the information and tips that I have up until then. But guys, look, thanks for watching. Please do smash the like button if this was useful. Leave me a comment below and subscribe to the channel. This is a relatively new channel still, and I could do with all the support I can get. So please subscribe. And until next time, cheers.